So, hallo aus Riga. Heute besuchen wir Mogo und ich bin unterwegs mit Irina. Sie ist, hier ist Irina.
Hey.
And you are the loan originator success manager, right?
Yeah, basic account manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe what are you doing shortly?
Well, I'm helping loan originators to onboard new countries, onboard new products.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ja, thank you. So, wir werden jetzt Mogo mal besuchen. Das ist mehr so Management-Level und ich habe eure Fragen mit und werde mal ein paar Fragen stellen. Bis später.
So here is Mogo Baltics and Caucasus office. There you can see
The nice city, yeah.
views to Riga Old Town. It's lunchtime, that's why it looks quite empty. Otherwise it's not like that. So through where our IT team is sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. We have two meeting rooms on this side, so one in that corner and other there.
Mm-hmm.
Here is one of the kitchens, the darkest one.
You have no light in here? You have light.
We have light, but you know, then no proper light from the windows.
Yeah.
And then here is the other part of the office.
Okay, what they are doing here?
The same.
Okay.
IT stuff.
So you have a lot of IT guys.
Yes, as Carlos mentioned.
Yeah.
They are developing our systems, and probably I just want to repeat as what Modesta said at the beginning, that in September we will have our office. Here you can see the teasers of it, how it will look like, and everyone is very eager. All the photos about the process, how everything is going, and at the current moment it's just this office is just probably one fifth of the team, and we are separated in the couple of offices, but it will change in the nearest future.
Mm-hmm.
And there you can see in the central window, if you have a good eyes, Mogo logo. So that's this Skanste CL50, where on a bit of a right you can see the constructions happening. So there on the second and third floor will be our office.
Okay. So your way to Mintos is also already short, really short then.
That's the main reason why we've chosen that outfit.
So that's all? That's the elevator?
Yeah, that's the elevator, and we are just renting 1/3 of the floor.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Maybe we can start with a short introduction, because my audience don't know who you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, so my name is Modestas. I'm a Mogo Group CEO. I can call myself a Mogo veteran already. I'm almost from the beginning of the company. I've actually built Lithuanian business because the whole business was launched in Latvia, kind of first test market, but very soon afterwards we established Lithuania. So I've helped build the Lithuanian office, which is now a really successful company, contributing to our overall profitability quite heavily. And then some 1.5-2 years ago, I moved to Latvia. That's kind of unfortunate, but it was very good opportunity to help grow other regions. So I started actually managing this Hub 1 at that time, how we call this Baltics and Caucasus region, and already for 6 months I'm managing the whole group alongside Maris.
Right, yeah, so a few words about myself. I'm Maris Greits, Mogo Group CFO. So been with the company for almost 4 years now. Unlike Modestus, started as a CFO, and I'm still a CFO. So been doing this from day one at Mogo, and at least what's maybe from my side, I pretty much joined the company when the company was active in foreign markets, had something around 50-60 million loan portfolio. Now the group has grown to 15 markets, and the loan portfolio is 160 million. So I've been part of this journey, been part of different fundraising rounds. Same also kind of oversaw the collaboration with Mintos, how it started, how we actually went from 1 million to where we are right now in the platform. So been definitely part of this very exciting growth phase of the company.
Okay, good.
So,
I think from our side, it's just very nice to meet people from social this environment, as it's very atypical for us. Usually we're meeting guys with serious suits and so on. So it's also a good opportunity for us to present Mogo for more like a more unofficial manner
for a different type of audience.
Did they told you what I'm doing in Germany?
Simas briefed us slightly, but I think a couple of words would be useful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I'm a finance blogger in Germany, and I wrote about my experiences from several P2P platforms, and one of them is Mintos, for example. And yeah, at this time it's the biggest blog in Germany about this topic, and it's reach from around 100,000 people per month. And so I tried to, or I started to visit the platforms, and this is the first time I also visit the loan originators behind it. And I was also in Armenia at Barks, and yeah, now you are here in Riga, so it's easy to visit you also. And I have a lot of questions from my community, so yeah, we can start with some questions.
Okay.
I hope you have some good answers from my community.
We hope so too. Yeah. So we actually prepared a small presentation maybe to address some of the questions. We'll go very briefly. If you want to dig deeper, just let us know.
Okay.
So here we have our history, how Mogo started. What I've already mentioned, that we started in 2012 in Latvia, then moved to Lithuania, Estonia. Then we started in 2014. We started attracting additional funding apart from our shareholders. And Mogo shareholders are Latvian citizens, Latvian businessmen from day one. Same group stayed. They actually founded back in the days for finance, sold it more than 5 years ago. And one of their core investments afterwards was Mogo. Maybe just to confirm that there was no after the company was sold, there was no relations left. So we could actually say that we're competing maybe for finance in some small niche segment, but we don't have any relations anymore. Okay, so then our first maybe outside investment came from Latvian bonds. Which helped, of course, us to grow further. We moved to Georgia, then we managed to attract this growth capital, like mezzanine funding in 2015, and right afterwards we started collaborating with Mintos. So natural growth, and at that stage we already had quite diversified funding sources, which together with the fact that we already understood the product quite well, had the IT systems to back it up, and had the know-how behind the product. When our expansion started to accelerate, we were launching basically a market per quarter, sometimes market per half year, sometimes even 2 markets per quarter, and we reached the state where we are at now. When we're actively operating in 15 markets, you can see from this curve, quite a few of them is launched in the last year.
Maybe the curve is a net loan portfolio, so as a reference point. So it's you can see how the actual portfolio has grown also.
Is it completely focused on car loans, or do you have some other kind of loans?
We do have our loans, but like kind of the core focus is car loans. We're a car loan company. We do have different complementary products, we could say, that we have in the markets where we're already mature, where we're profitable. One example could be in Latvia. We do offer installment loans, but it's usually a tool for upsell to our existing clients. So we're not publicly active and competing with the biggest players. Also, we have maybe worth to mention, like in Armenia, we're just in a process of we've already launched actually a payday product. That's also quite a unique case, and this is like one of these examples when local management, whom we're really proud of, they actually came with this idea and they were really seeing an opportunity. And the only reason why we did it because the market, the competition is very low in this segment, and also that we have a unique access to 330 branches through some specific exclusive partnership. So we're doing kind of online product, which is in the end is more offline. So we do have this payday product there, which was launched this year, but we believe it has some potential to grow, but it will never overtake our car product even in Armenia. But talking about something else, launching something else, we don't see anything in upcoming future, and we really want to focus on our core. So to be fair, usually in mature markets where we're would say dominating the market, and it could be Latvia, could be one example, or it could be like Lithuania and Estonia. There we're focused on some other type of product, but more related to leasing. So an example could be that now we also have a company Longo, which helps us to get cars from Germany, one from Germany, from Netherlands, and then it also is kind of our best dealer in this region. So we're also tackling a bit of this car dealer market, but just to make sure that our clients can choose also the best quality cars, and also by that making sure that those cars are really the highest quality, we can maybe go lower and tackle also a little bit more like these banking clients. So from mature markets, I would say this is more of a direction so we're going for, not launching completely different products. And not sure exact number, but probably Marius can correct me, but I think currently like 97% of all portfolio is either like backed by car.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, coming back to this graph. We now have these 15 countries. We feel that that's already quite a lot. We don't want to stop growing, but our focus is not opening new markets anymore. Our focus in this stage is actually turning these recently opened markets, and by recently I would say in last 2 years, profitable, growing there, making sure that all the successful tools which work for us and works very well in these mature, profitable markets would really be implemented fully in those recently launched. So this is our focus, and we're gonna have some slides further, but just wanna put this emphasis for now. Then maybe Marius suggest, I think it could be interesting to explain how actually we get the clients.
Yeah. No, maybe this explains more the products that we have. So this is we have again here speaking about the core, the car lending business. So basically we do have two main products, which is your classical financing, leasing, and the other would be sale and leaseback financing. So the first one addresses the customer's need to purchase a car. So in the first case, in this financial leasing, the person does not own a car, so a person is looking to buy a used vehicle, so they would approach us through first of all they would find a car they would like to buy through a dealer, and then they would be able, and the dealer or through our branch, we would be able to take the application and actually issue a loan. So we aim to issue a loan and actually provide the opportunity for a person to drive away with the car on the same day, if the kind of car registration process in a country is efficient. So we can do that definitely in markets like Latvia and in Baltic markets. In some other markets it might take maybe extra day, but just due to the formalities of the car registration. Because in both cases we are, for the most part, we are owners of the car. So it's we're taking ownership of the car, and the person is a user. And once the person has paid down the very last monthly payment, then the person becomes the owner of the vehicle too. Mm-hmm. And the second product would be the leaseback product, which is a person does own a car already, and then would like to kind of release equity or monetize this asset, and they would approach us. We would take the ownership of the vehicle and provide them a loan against this vehicle. And the principle works the same way. So it's a monthly payment, and with the very last monthly payment, the person again becomes the owner of the vehicle as initially. And so in both cases, like I said, we're speaking about the car. We are the owners of the car, the official owners of the car in the car registries, and in some cases we might have also a pledge over the car. So it depends from market specifics, but throughout the lease term, we have the control of the asset, and that actually helps us in the repossession process if necessary, which we can talk later about.
What's the average loan amount for a car?
Yeah, average loan amount, the very, very, very average across all 15 markets would be around €4,000. Okay. Again, it depends, it varies by markets. In some markets, like for example Estonia, then we can have bigger value cars, bigger value loans. In some markets like Georgia, it could be lower value. So the average is your €4,000 car. And maybe just to put things also in perspective, so this is just the value, but the average age of the car once we issue the loan is approximately 13 years. So it's like it's an old car, but it's pretty much your very average car that you have on the streets, because we do have the statistics as well, and we have looked through the statistics in European Union. The average age of the car is around 10-11 years. Even in Germany, the average age of the car is 9 point something. So even though like we all think that there's new cars being bought every year and the numbers are big, but to put things in perspective, the used car market is like almost 10 times bigger than the new car market. So it's if completely neglected, the market is definitely an unused opportunity. And for us, the main thing is we finance the most liquid car that's in the market. So we don't have limits on the age. We don't have basically we don't have limits of the car collateral, as long as we're able to put a reasonable value on it based on the data that we gather in the application process. We're good to go, and the customer can drive away with it.
As I understood, in Armenia there are only loans for older cars, right? Not for completely new cars.
For us, like we do. We have tried, but I don't think so. So basically, 99.9% we have just used cars. If we have financed a new car, that'd be maybe in some specific newer market like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, where there's very specific market condition when the prices of used cars are the same as new cars. There are some markets like that as well, especially if you think about these frontier markets where we operate. But all in all, it's a used car, and this is pretty much the market we're tackling. Because before that, of course, there's if you think about the customer segments, they are prime customers who are buying new cars. They have no issues about when obtaining financing. But then there's a lot of people who would like to buy a vehicle for transportation needs. They just cannot do it, even if it's a used car. And that pretty much is where we come in. And if you think about these markets where we operate, it's also the need for mobility is quite crucial, because it helps you in your family life, in your work life. Like this, the transportation need, being solved is something that's very important in these markets where we operate. The developing markets, frontier markets, because in markets like Germany, France, like public transportation system itself is very efficient, and the need for a car kind of diminishes. But if we think about these markets where we're focused, it's a very big thing, and will be many years in future as well.
Okay. Maybe just to add a little bit, the fact that we have so little cars, of course, is that we're not targeting the segment, but also we have limits how much risk we wanna take for one person. So usually, like, we do not do not give loans for more than 10,000 euros, and often it's quite hard to buy a new car for such amount. And what's good with old cars is that they don't lose value almost. The car which is 13 years old, in next 3 to 4 years, it will lose maybe 20-30% of its value if maintained well. So that also decreases our risk throughout the time.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, now we can briefly touch upon this map. I think it's better to look at the map. You kind of see that we're coloring this part of Europe very, very gradually. And here we've marked our markets in 3 colors. Mature market means that this is already a profitable market. Mid-tier market means that this is a market which has significant portfolio and it's on the way to getting profitable. And these startup markets, these are usually markets which are launched within the last 1.5 years. I guess here what I could comment additionally is that we don't rush when we launch new market. We don't rush to issue right away very high numbers to over-invest. We as Mogo managed to build quite lean operations in all of our markets, no exception in startup markets. So we're feeling very comfortable operating first half a year with very limited issuances, just testing the market, understanding whether all our assumptions and all legal framework which was received, that whether really it works as intended in practice. So one example could be Uzbekistan, huge country, but where we're really taking it like small steps, testing how the process will look like if client doesn't pay, what are all the tools in practice to get back, to recover some of the loans, and things like that. But of course, markets where we operate for some 2 to 3 years, we expect that this is more or less the time when they should start becoming profitable on a monthly basis, and definitely like in 4th year already profitable overall. And so far we've been very successful in accomplishing that. Of course, we have some outliers. We like the same Armenia, which you mentioned, there we became profitable within 9 months of operations and break even within 13 months of operations. So this is market where, as Marius mentioned, there's like really a need for our product in terms of both financing and in terms of the fact that the car is a necessity both as a transportation and also like as a work tool. But we also have quite a few of these green markets, so-called mid-tier markets. So this is where we're really focusing this year, so that they would become profitable and then start contributing to overall group's profitability.
How's the plan if you enter a new country from the beginning, from the research to open the first branches and so on? Is there every time the same plan for every country, the same master plan?
I think same master plan, but usually in practice it happens differently. Before even entering the market, we always do our research. It can be that we send a person, and that's usually like the case. We send the person there to spend some couple of weeks, do a legal analysis, do the financial analysis, already maybe talk with some potential candidates. And by these visits, and we have many cases when these visits were not successful and we didn't, we stopped our research there, we moved to another market. But after these visits, we usually have more or less clear view on paper whether this is attractive market for us, whether it's not. And if it's attractive, then we start hiring process of country manager. We start looking for first premises, and we start building the relationships, so hiring legal companies and so on. And then already opening first branches, building the team. This is always done having the core person in a market, of course with quite a lot of support from the headquarters from Latvia. So that's kind of the golden standard, but if we go market per market, I guess it's every country has a little bit different story. We're regulated in, I would say, 75% of our market, so it's also you need to go through the licensing process, which takes time and can drag even up to a year.
And what are the main reasons when you decide, well, we don't want to go in that market?
So as we mentioned, we're secured lender. Car as a collateral, it's a must for us. There are markets where leasing concept or loan with collateral doesn't exist, or exists only in paper but not in practice. So that's one way, one reason for not entering the market. Then there's of course some instability reasons. It could be very unclear or changing economic environment, and maybe we could have like too high forex or too high legal risks. And if it goes kind of in hand with the fact that we're not ready, we can't effectively repossess the vehicle, that's usually like a no-go for us.
I would also add that we also look at our capacity to kind of open these new markets. For example, we have researched some markets where we have decided not to go or enter right now, but we have put them kind of in a shelf, and we might come back once we maybe have sold some lower hanging fruit, like a smaller country where we already kind of have good processes, good people, etc. So it's a decision not to enter a market is basically not always a permanent one. It's being definitely reevaluated with some regularity.
Can you tell us maybe 3 key facts where you say no, we don't enter the market at this time?
I think a key would be when we have no clear pattern of or no clear process or no clear practice of actually repossessing the car if needed, or we do the research, we get some responses, but these responses might be theoretical. We get responses like, hey, this should work in theory, in practice we are not sure about that, and definitely that does not give us comfort. And
car market, it's another factor. We know at what segment we want to focus on. We know that we're not that interested in new cars. We're more interested in used cars. So taxation systems and these type of things, they can limit the inflow of cars to the market, which could also be a stopping factor. But of course, what we see, what Marius very well mentioned in our practice, that these custom rules and so on, they change quite a lot throughout the time. So some market, which one example could be like Belarus, maybe some time ago it was not attractive, but now It's one of our startup markets. We see it's like one of the most successful launches, and we see like huge potential there. So this is like one good example when situation changed and then it became more favorable to us. Okay, then maybe we can briefly show our legal structure.
Yeah. So the legal structure here, this is, I would say, it's also put in this parenthesis operational structure. So in this case, it's more like an operational structure. So some of it has not been yet implemented legally, but this is how we manage the group essentially. So we do have a holding company, which is Mogo Finance SA, where there's you can see the founders and then the minority stake of management and current and former employees. There it's worth to mention that we do have a company-wide, group-wide employee stock option scheme. So we like and we definitely appreciate the idea on being the part owners of the company and having this owner's mindset and that being kind of ingrained in the daily duties of every employee. So that's there. And then if we look, currently we do have hub 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not 5, but the Longo group would be the fifth one. Actually, we're in the process of changing the names of these hubs because these are just a form, current legal names, but how we call them would be, hub 1 would be our Baltics and Caucasian region hub, hub 2 would be Mogo Balkans, hub 3 Mogo Eastern Europe, hub 4 Mogo Central Asia. So this is the kind of the new names of these hubs, and also you see that there is the idea is that every hub or every region does have a separate regional management. It has a separate IT team, risk team, finance team. So basically everything that you need to kind of run the operational countries from the kind of portfolio perspective. So you have 4 to 5 countries in principle that each region does have, and the countries are split both from regional aspect, also from kind of historical legacy aspect as well. Some similarities between markets are also taken away, but I would say the regional aspect is prevailing one, how we have split the regions. And yeah, so here you can see different legal entities underneath of each hubs. In some countries you might have, like in Latvia, 3 legal entities. That's for some market specifics, but in general, like I mentioned, we should think about hubs or regions as 4 to 5 market hubs. And yeah, so this is kind of the way how we can still maintain the hands-on approach, and at the same time we have created this structure that's very scalable. So there's no once we decide, for example, to open new 4 or 5 markets, we're not putting stress at the Mogo Finance or the group level, and now the guys are before that they were like managing 15 markets, now it's 20. No, we are creating the new hub, new separate management team that's going to take the full ownership of these markets. So the structure in this growth phase of the company is very favorable, and we see that it works very well. This is the, like I said, the scalable approach of the company. So we are not we consciously decided not to create layers on layers on layers like in corporate structures. Rather than that, we did this split by hubs. So these are essentially almost companies within a company, almost type of attitude. So still maintaining this entrepreneurial aspect of things. So each the management of each hub, they think about this as their own business, the countries that they manage, and they, in some cases, they're actually the ones who are establishing these countries. And from the day one, like hub 4 or hub 3. The guys do have mature markets, but they also are opening new markets as well. So it creates this the ownership mindset, and has worked very well for us so far.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also I just wanted to add about this Longo group. So this is the separate kind of hub what Modestas mentioned, Longo Group is our car sourcing business essentially. So these are, we do appreciate the fact that we have the knowledge about the used cars. So we are the ones who can source these the cars from Western Europe in these markets, and we know exactly what cars are preferred in each of these markets, and we capitalize on that opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, then maybe to wrap up, just a couple of words what we're focusing on and what's the strategy going forward. I guess not much to add on human resources. Marius very well described our vision. So we really want to capitalize on that now, and then we see that it works great. When it comes to operations and controlling, I guess here it's worth to mention that even though we're kind of a mix between online and offline lender, because of course we're very present online. We receive many leads online, but also we have physical branches, we have huge dealership networks. But here the fact that we're a very IT-driven company, it helps us to both have more lean operations, whatever is possible to put in the IT system, whether it's a scoring model, whether it's call center solution or some database checks, we do it. But at the same time, it helps us to control what's happening in the market better, to control human errors, and it allows us to go into maybe these a little bit more exotic markets, but at the same time be very confident that we have control over risk also from headquarters. And one more thing, what you mentioned, what you asked, what's the reason sometimes for not going into the market, is actually lack of accesses to different databases, which in the end helps us to evaluate the client and understand whether this is the profile we want to have in our portfolio or no.
You mean something like a default database for?
Yeah, default database can be card databases, it can be positive credit databases. In some markets, we have some 7-8 databases which we request automatically to evaluate the client. So operations controlling heavily related on IT, financing we want to have diverse source of funding, which we're successfully managing so far, and of course with the help of Mintos as well. Speaking about markets, what I've already mentioned, we ourselves qualify them in 3 sections. So these mature markets, we still grow every year in there. It's not necessarily double-digit growth, but we have a clear strategy in what additional car leasing segments we're tackling there. So this is what we're going to continue, and of course profit maximization there, mid-tier markets through controlling operations and human resources, and put them to the mature markets level as soon as possible. And startup phases, as we mentioned, there are usually like 2 kind of phases. One is test phase, where we're like really cautious when we get the confidence that this is a market where we want to build significant portfolio. Then of course it starts significant growth, significant quality portfolio growth in those markets. So this is our strategy in kind of segments, and of course the overall goal is to have diverse portfolio in terms of countries, in terms of regions, in terms of the fact that it's also diverse, it's secured. So we know plans in having a big portion of unsecured loans, and then constant growth in both inside and maybe afterwards opening some new markets.
Last year we saw that you established a bond, and this was really a hassle for the Mintos investors because the loan volume goes down. My question would be, is it possible that you do it again in the future?
So it is possible that we'll do it again in the future. Clear timing is, we cannot provide that for different reasons, but in general, if we think about the markets where we are and our plans for the growth and how we plan the company to develop further, we see that we will need to go back to the capital markets, and we will use that opportunity. Whether or not it happens this or next year or sooner or later, that we cannot answer right now. But it will happen. But then again, I think an important aspect is that it was really like a short-term, one-time kind of drop in the loan volumes, because if you see where we stand right now, we are almost right back at the same level where we were before that. So it's Mintos is always going to be part of our funding strategy going forward. And even if the loan volumes will drop with some bond that we issue or some other funding source that we attract, and then it just makes economical sense to repay some part of the Mintos loans, we'll be there back again. Because Mintos is one of those sources of funding that is flexible, provides this asset liability match for us, so there's no kind of duration risk for us in terms of assets liabilities, and we appreciate the cooperation with Mintos. We like it so far, and we treat it as a flexible kind of source of funding that we can tap back, and we can use more or less on as needed basis. And has worked well so far.
How much of your loan portfolio you sell to Mintos?
I believe that we can
yes.
go to this slide, and it's easier to talk about.
Yeah, currently it's around 65 million of loans in Mintos platform that we have funded through. So our loan portfolio is 160 million, so 65 million of that would be in Mintos platform.
Roughly 40-35%.
Yes, exactly. So, and here's the distribution by countries what we have currently. You can see that there's the vast dominance comes from this Baltics and Caucasian region, which is also actually part of the reason why we are here in this office, because it's later on you'll meet management team from this region, and but as you see that we're constantly kind of all the new markets, once they have tested themselves, once there's a significant portfolio, significant track record, we are in control of operations, and Mintos risk team is okay with our approach, with our business in these new markets. Then we are eagerly adding them to the Mintos platform, and we are happy to provide this diversification benefit to the Mintos investors as well, to invest in different countries with different underlying collateral and so on. So it's
and if we can just, before finalizing, it's the about our future plans in Mintos. So as Modestas mentioned at the beginning about the Armenian product, so our plans is to launch Armenian payday and Estonian installments loans in probably the third quarter of 2018.
Maybe just that Estonian, that's also kind of low amount of loans. That's also an upsell, so we're not active there. It's still like a leasing-driven country.
Mm-hmm.
And then to add Belarus, Bosnia, and Albania in closer to the end of 2018. So that's our future plans, near future plans in Mintos platform.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So
Awesome.
I think from our side, shortly about Mogo. I hope it's some use for your followers, for yourself. As we mentioned, always welcome to come back. New office, new opportunities. Maybe next time we can also meet for some dinner or lunch. Just show you around the city. I'm not sure if you're having some opportunity to see Latvia or Riga.
Oh yeah, I stay here the whole month, so.
You're staying here the whole month?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Like a local.
Yeah, it's my second home already, so.
yeah.
I'm right now in Mogo. I'm head of this largest region, which is Baltics in terms of the size of the business and profitability. It's Baltic states plus Georgia plus Armenia. Baltics and Caucasus. I've been with Mogo now 18, 19 months, a bit less than 2 years. Before that, I did my MBA in Switzerland, and then I spent 2 years in London in management consulting. So this kind of thing. And then decided to move back to Latvia and back home, and then join Mogo.
For me, I'm the newest member of the Mogo. I joined just about a month ago. So as you just decided to go back to home, for me it was a bit vice versa. I decided to live in Latvia instead of Lithuania. I'm originally from Lithuania, from Vilnius. And all of my career I've been working in the banking segment, and mostly all my career I was mainly working with large corporates and financial institutions and with the investor relations. So now I'm in Mogo. I'm also responsible for managing investor relations.
Mm-hmm.
So we can.
So is there is there anything particular you were interested in, or we should do this presentation?
I think we can start this presentation, and if I have questions, I would ask. There are some questions, especially about the default process.
Yeah, there are the default and fraud prevention around a couple of stuff.
But I think it is in the presentation, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so this is a snapshot of our customer, and then of course like I can tell you more about this these 5 countries, but overall I think like the general story is pretty similar everywhere. So basically, if you think about Mogo and if you think about Mogo customers, then the Mogo customer is essentially like a usual person living in the particular country, Latvia, Lithuania, or Georgia, or Armenia, or Estonia. This is like a typical person, has some income, wants to buy a car. For this or that reason, it basically buys the average car that is in the market.
As we can see from the table, it's mostly German cars.
No, so
our clients prefer.
This is actually also the snapshot of what are if you look at the used, in the new car segment, it's a bit different because you have more Japanese cars and things like that. But in the used car segment and in the used car import car segment, German cars are super popular. Classic German brands, so BMW, Mercedes, and so on. And it is depends who likes more BMWs or Mercedes, but this is kind of quite consistent across all the markets. And these are the classic cars that are most popular in the used car segment, and this is also the most popular segment that we have in as Mogo clients. And then these cars, this is overall the overall kind of thing is it is pretty average in the sense that our customers are in most 70% of customers are in this working age, about 25% and 25 years. They are driving the standard kind of car, and they are driving the standard used car, and then they are buying it or selling and getting another one.
What's the most expensive car you have funded?
It's a tricky question. I think depends on the country. So we have some limits on the for example, in Latvia, it's the 15,000 euro is the
there are the limits.
And in some countries it's up to 10. So that's
so
the most expensive car.
Okay.
So nothing extraordinary. Nothing fancy, and also probably split by gender. You can easily guess that the male is dominating our client base.
Yeah.
And so that's so the cars are this is the other point that we want to make. Of course, here is that these cars are German cars are typically reliable cars. So if you look at also the values of those cars, if you have this used car BMW doesn't, if it's like well maintained and so on, its value doesn't go, doesn't depreciate that much, right? And so this is also kind of what we like about our cars that are in our fleet, so to say, and what we like about our clients.
But for you, it makes no difference what you fund for a car, or
well, in general, no. Well, of course, if at any point that car would come back, in those cases when the car comes back, of course, it makes a difference. What is this car, yeah? But how we manage this is we have this underwriting process where we look at the car. We have we have an automated system how we evaluate that car. So we manage the risk from that side, and then of course BMWs are the kind of, if there is a car coming back, it's a spotlight. The distribution remains the same, right? So if it's a popular car, it's more likely to come back. The popular, the percentage of those will also be bigger than those cars that come back.
So that was probably the framework of our typical customer, and then we can move probably to the slide which I understood from your questions that you are more into that. So it's our marketing strategies in each countries and our online offline distribution and how we work with the partners and how it's different among the countries.
Mm-hmm. So here actually the story is that there are some consistent things among the countries, but then each country is very different, in terms of how much things happen on digital side, how much things can happen on the digital side. But if we think about our customer and if we think about our clients, this is digital is nice, but it's quite important that you have offline presence, and so that's what we have all around, in all 5 countries, that we have, our own branches where client can reach us and where the client can get the service from us. These branches are typically located in the strategic places for the used car market, whether it's car registry or whether this is some place where a lot of car sales happen, or in general a central place. And so the idea is that we have our presence in the clients can find us. Of course, they can do everything also online. Depends on the country, it's more popular or less popular. Yeah? And then the other thing is depends on the structure of the market in the country. How much this used car sales are consolidated in some used car sellers' hands, and then you can see, for example, in Latvia and Estonia, this is a lot of sales happen in the car dealers or car lots, in the towns, and so we are working with those guys together, and we are using them also as a channel to originate our loans.
And then in Armenia, it's nearly completely offline, the business, right? I saw it also when I visited.
Yeah, so Armenia is less structured market itself. Yeah. There are 3,000-5,000 people who are selling the cars, and each of them are selling 1 to 3 cars per month, or 1 to 10 cars per month. So it's much more directly to customer. There is a car market where he chooses the car, tests the car, and then he needs the financing, and then this is this kind of setup.
It was really funny to see in Armenia, even if they use the calculator on the websites of the loan originator, afterwards they go to the branch and do it offline.
Yes.
So it's possible to do it online, but they don't use it.
Yes, that's what we also see.
Yeah.
We are in all the channels it is possible to reach us in quite many ways in all countries, and then depends on this, country market structure. We are basically present where we want to be.
But now we can talk a bit about customer care. I believe that's what we are proud of.
Yeah. Well, I think these are overall like kind of any company wants to have these things, but we have this on the slide here. But this is like especially true in this our segment where we are working. We want to we are very fast in how we make our decisions. So we automate a lot of background processes and a lot of the underwriting process is automated so that we can make those fast decisions. We are always, it's easy to talk to us. You call us, or you come to the branch, or you go to one of the partners, and you actually can basically get the answer on that place or very soon there. As I mentioned already, these strategic locations, which is like we are where we want to be in terms of we are close to car registers, we are close to the car markets, or in city center where there are a lot of people. We can be accessed by all the means. So basically, I mean, our goal is to be very convenient place where you can get your where you can fulfill your need that you need a car and you want to drive that car soon. So that's what you can get from us. And so we have people who are repeating customers who take more than one loan, yeah. And so that's on the customer care.
Okay.
And now probably the slide,
Then the debt collection,
which is
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
everyone is eager to hear how the processes work. So here it is.
And so I'm just wondering, so what exactly, should I just tell a bit and then you can ask
Yes,
the
I
question?
think so. Yeah.
So, well, debt collection is, this is also,
Part of the business.
part of the business. Of course, we have a lot of used cars and then a lot of clients in terms of volumes. So we have to. There are also clients that sometimes get overdue. Well, the process is quite structured. It has to be, and the overall goal of the process, the real goal is to always get some kind of to agree with the customer on some solutions. But if we think of overall how it works, so typically around and that may depend on the country. But first 30 days, what we would typically do is we would call the customer. We would send reminder emails, reminder SMSs. So basically, what we would do, we would communicate and try to find a solution. And solutions can be various. The customer just says that he will pay. He's late. He will pay, and all is fine. But the solution can be that we need to extend the loan, or we need to do some amendments. Or solution can be that the client sees that there is a problem, and then the client can return the car or things like that. In general, there's a vast majority, all the cases are solved in these first 30 days. People start to get overdue, and then there is some solution. If it doesn't happen for the remaining cases, then there's kind of the next step in the process is that we need there is a discussion how we can, either we can do something with the contract, change the terms or something like that, or the client just returns the car, and then we see what we can do with what's the value of the car, what's the level of the how quality the car is after 3 years of using. And then if that is not successful, then we try to find the car ourselves. We have our own in-house people who are also looking for these cars. Yeah.
So you're going offline and then you go to the
So,
customer.
but that is like a normal process. So there is like, if necessary, there is like, we have the right to repossess the car. If necessary, we can call the police and like with help of police, we can like the standard, all the means, legal means how you can do that. Typically, it is more that you find the person, you talk to the person, and then you get the solution. Like either you get the car or there is some solution. Yeah. And then like once we get this car, we obviously sell it. We try, like we have in all countries, we have some our own car sales department who are like experts in used car sales. We try to get them as much money as possible, of course, with that. And then if there is something remaining, then of course there is a discussion with the customer how to do it. But like overall, as I say, vast majority we are solving with the problems typically in these first 30 days, and then the remaining is like if there is, then we work with us.
We have also problems with some fraud in the sector, or there are cases you never get back the money.
So maybe then this is related to more to this slide.
Like the direct answer to your question is yes, of course. Like there are cases when we do not get back the money, and we are very actively managing those cases. Like we are very actively managing the business so that we wouldn't have such cases. And so this is the general kind of overview what we are doing. So we have our own chief security officer who is expert in if this is an organized fraud or something. So we can work and try to understand this quickly. But like in reality, like the best kind of defense against the frauds, and of course, what do we define as a fraud? Yeah? We would define a fraud that basically the person took a loan without any intention to pay it back, and then just the card disappears or something like that. And so what do we do there is we have a lot of data, internal data that like we use all this we check the client. That's the risk management on the client side, like who is the client, what's his income level, whether he's he has defaulted on loans in the past, and so on. So that takes off a lot of
probably it's also worth mentioning that we physically check the cars, and that's also is very helpful to
So then we check who are like we are always monitoring also the dealer performance. We are yes, this is physical inspection, like any car that is actually checked by someone who we either is our client or the dealer who we trust. So there is no all the cars are of a reasonably good quality. And then of course we are looking at the portfolio, like if there are any months that look strange, and we look into it, we investigate, and we understand like what did we do wrong or what happened in that month, and then we go through the data analysis and understand what is happening. And then finally, which is one of the other also things that are like recently we have done quite a lot in the countries where it's allowed to, we are also putting GPSs in part of the client segments, which we may have some reasons to think that there are more that is reasonable to put in. So this is the way how we manage it.
Going back to this default rate, is this public information for everyone who see that they can see the recovery rate and how many loans are defaulted?
Because we have our Eurobond, which is listed in Frankfurt Stock Exchange, so we have an obligation for our investors to disclose our consolidated group level financial results each quarter, and we are also giving the investor presentation after each results. So most of the sensitive financial data is disclosed in those reports according to all the accounting and financial standards. So everything is publicly available in Mogo Finance webpage, so everyone who just want to read maybe bond prospectus or see our news or our latest results or maybe results from early 2015 or anything related to the company finances, you can go there and take a look, and also you can find those results on the stock exchanges where our bonds are listed. So at the current moment we have three bonds, one euro bond which I mentioned, it's listed in Frankfurt, and two other bonds are local in Latvia and listed in Riga stock exchange. So that information which I mentioned also is available on those stock exchange pages.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you have anything else? No. Maybe you have questions.
Talking about the buyback guarantee on Mintos,
Yes.
do you have there some special calculations, or what is it exactly for you, the buyback guarantee? Does it matter for you, or is it only your...
I believe that the buyback guarantee is matter for us in various perspectives. It helps to be more preferable in terms of from the investor's perspective. They really value the services, and we noticed that at the current moment we issuing only loans with buyback guarantees, because it's the customer demanding it. So we are looking at this as a must. And how the buyback guarantee works: if the loan is non-performing for 60 plus days, then we just automatically buy it back. So I believe that it's a great service for investors, and it creates a great value. And if we're talking also about the buyback guarantees, it's worth mentioning that Mogo Finance as a group also issued a group guarantee for the countries, Mogo Group countries, which are listed in Mintos platform. And because of that, our Mogo Group countries are the only ones which, in the whole Mintos platform, which have a buyback guarantee, group guarantee, and are A rated. Have an A rating, which is like the best available rating in the platform. That's we are really proud of.
But in terms of your daily work, it doesn't matter for you if you have to buyback guarantee or not, right? Because you have to deal with defaults anyway.
Yeah, it is just a matter of like managing the cash flow, so it's not a big issue. We're looking at the buyback guarantee as a necessity because it's what the investors demand, and all the time when we are working with Mintos and issuing our loans, all the time it is a demand and supply, and we are trying to find that perfect equilibrium, what suits the investors best, and also what is the best in line with our own interests. So trying to find the perfect match between the preferable terms, preferable countries, and that could vary each week, each month. Maybe some other issue is doing some aggressive marketing campaign. So like we are adjusting our issuances almost daily and looking and monitoring it all the time constantly.
Going back to this group guarantee, I think most of the investors are not aware of it. Can you explain what does it mean exactly?
It means that before the group guarantee, each country in Mogo was guaranteeing the loans only on its own balance. So let's say it could theoretically, let's say if any of the Mogo country would default so it will be taken care only from their balance sheet, and the other Mogo countries and the group won't be involved in that process. But after it was issued as a group guarantee, so the group as a whole is responsible for each and every country in the Mogo for Mogo and Mintos platform. So that means that it substantially increased security and for the investor's perspective.
And is it a contract between you and Mintos?
It's like a group.
Yeah,
group
that's
guarantee.
Okay.
Yes.
like an agreement.
Yeah.
And now because of that, each and every Mogo country is A rated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which I mentioned is the only case in the whole Mintos platform in terms of
Today, yeah.
security, like a 3 layers, like a buyback guarantee, group guarantee, and the rating.
Okay, yeah, that's all from my side, I think. Do you have any questions, Rina?
No.
Okay.
Ja, das war unser Besuch bei Mogo. Danke nochmal an meine tolle temporäre Assistentin Irina von Mintos, die ihr auch ganz am Anfang im Video gesehen habt. Ja, super spontan entschieden, hat sie klasse gemacht. Und ansonsten Mogo, wie zu erwarten war, extrem professionell. Die haben sich da nicht die Butter vom Brot klauen lassen, oder wie sagt man. Im Verhältnis zu Vax fand ich jetzt ja ein bisschen zu seriös an manchen Stellen. Aber ja, ich bin mal gespannt, was ihr so in den Kommentaren schreibt unter dem Beitrag. Lasst uns da unbedingt diskutieren. Und ansonsten hoffe ich, dass einige von euren Fragen beantwortet wurden. Und wenn dir das Video und der Beitrag gefallen haben, dann lass mir unbedingt ein Abo da. Und ansonsten sehen wir uns beim nächsten Mal. Bis bald.